Chapter 2, Where to Start. The learning objectives for Chapter 2 are: discuss how research questions, hypotheses, and predictions are related. Describe the different sources of ideas for research, including common sense, observation, theories, past research, and practical problems. Identify the two functions of a theory. Describe 3 kinds of research reports. Summarize the information, including the abstract, introduction, method, results, and discussion sections of research articles. Summarize the fundamentals of exploring past research in psychology, including the use of PsycInfo. A research question is the first and foremost general step in designing and conducting a research investigation. A good research question must be specific so that it can be answered with a research project. So you might initially be motivated to want to answer the question, what causes depression? This question is much too general given the complexity of the topic. After becoming familiar with the theories and research on depression, your interest might focus on a more specific question, such as, is depression related to unhelpful ways of thinking about causes and success and failure? In this example, the hypothesis might be depression is related to the types of attributions made about success and failure experiences. More specifically, the hypothesis might be that individuals who are depressed will attribute success to good luck, but will attribute failure to their own personal shortcomings. Once the hypothesis is stated, the researcher can design a study to test it. This will require choices of how to choose the people who will participate, the nature of the task that they might work on, and how to devise a way to have participants experience success or failure. There would need to be a way to measure attributions of luck versus personal factors as a cause of success or failure. In research, a hypothesis is a tentative answer to a research question. Once a hypothesis is proposed, data must be gathered and evaluated in terms of whether the evidence is consistent or inconsistent with the hypothesis. Once the study is designed, the researcher can make a specific prediction about the outcome of the study. A prediction follows directly from a hypothesis, is directly testable, and includes specific variables and methodologies. The prediction in our example might be, in comparison to those with minimal or mild depression, participants categorized as having moderate or severe depression based on the Beck Depression Inventory score will score higher on luck when responding to a success experience and higher on a personal cause when responding to a failure experience. There's just some different sources of ideas whenever you're thinking about a research question. One is common sense. The things that we all believe to be true, such as do opposites attract, do birds of a feather flock together. Testing the common sense can be valuable because such notions not always turn out to be correct. Or research may show that the real world is much more complicated than our common sense ideas would have it. For example, pictures can aid in memory under certain circumstances, but sometimes pictures detract from learning. Conducting research to test common sense ideas often forces us to go beyond common sense theory of behavior. Practical problems can have an immediate application. Observation about the world around us. The curiosity sparked by our observation and experience can lead you to ask questions about all sorts of phenomena regarding to social events or personal events. Much of research, however, in the behavioral sciences tests theories of behavior. A theory consists of a systematic body of ideas about a particular topic or phenomenon. Psychologists have theories related to human behavior, learning, memory, personality. For example, first theories organize and explain a variety of specific facts or descriptions of behavior. Such facts and descriptions are not meaningful by themselves, and so theories are needed to impose a framework. Second, theories generate new knowledge by focusing our thinking so that we notice new aspects of behavior. Theories guide our observation of the world. The theory generates hypotheses about behavior, and the researcher conducts studies to test the hypotheses. And theories can be modified by new research. I actually use the evolutionary theory that the book discusses for my dissertation, that men are more likely to commit sexual infidelity and women are more likely to commit emotional infidelity. And it was all based on the evolutionary theory. But I used it on a Middle Eastern sample, and it actually confirmed what the evolutionary theory, posits. And you can actually use past research to come up with ideas for new research. In 1997, when there was it was 1999 or 1997, during the Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton scandal, there was an article that came out that was, what does it mean to have had sex? And based on that article, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start researching what does it mean to have what does it mean to be a bisexual individual? And that really is what sparked my 20 years of researching the topic of bisexuality, was based on that past research. There are 3 types of research reports. First is literature reviews, and literature are a good way to explore past research. Literature reviews summarize previous data in a particular area. And then there are also theory articles. Some published research reports are a culmination of work that describes a theory, while literature reviews summarize theory articles, generally summarize and integrate research to provide a new framework for understanding a phenomenon. And lastly, there are empirical articles. But before we talk about empirical articles, literature review summarize, we need to talk about how there's meta-analysis. Meta-analysis uses statistical procedures to analyze results of a number of studies and draw statistical conclusions. So basically, in short, meta-analysis researchers attempt to determine if a research finding is the same across multiple studies. We already talked about the theory articles. Empirical articles report on studies in which data were gathered to answer research questions. They usually have 5 sections, and this is what we're mainly going to be focusing on for the majority, if not all, of the semester. The five parts, the 5 sections that you really need to know are the abstract, introduction, method, results, and discussion. And you need to know what goes in each section. The abstract is a summary of the entire research report. This goes in the very beginning, on the top of each article. It's about 120 words or less. It consists of the hypothesis, what were the procedures in the study, and a broad pattern of results, and little information is given about the discussion section. The introduction outlines investigated problems. Past research and theories relevant to the problem are described in detail. The specific expectations of the research are noted, often as formal hypotheses. In other words, the investigator introduces the research in a logical format that shows how past research and theory are connected to the current research and problem and expected results. In the method section, it describes the study's design. It's divided into subsections by the author depending on the complexity of the research design. Sometimes the first subsection presents an overview of the design to prepare the reader for the material that follows. The next subsection describes the characteristics of the participants, like how many were female, how many were male, what was the average age, how many participants were there. And some research, if they have equipment or testing materials, will discuss those. A detailed and precise method section is essential for replication. In the results section, the researcher presents the finding, usually in 3 ways. First, there's a description in narrative form. For example, the location of the items was most likely to be forgotten when the location was both highly memorable and an unusual place for the item to be stored. So then after that, after it's in narrative form, that's when you start seeing the stats. And the stats materials are presented in tables and or graphs. In the discussion section, the researcher reviews the research from various perspectives. Do the results support the hypothesis? If they do, the author should give all possible explanation for the results and discuss why one explanation is superior to another. If the hypothesis has not been supported, the author should suggest potential reasons. What might have been wrong with methodology, the hypothesis of both. All right, so exploring past research, where do you go? Journals is the best place to go. There's so many journals out there. There's a Journal of Bisexuality, Journal of Sex Research, Journal of Applied Research. There's so many journals to look at. The best place to do that is using PsycInfo. And you could get PsycInfo using your through your library and through the Valley's library system. There's strategies for researching research databases. For example, PsycInfo and Google Scholar are really popular. Become familiar with the databases available in your library to expand the range of information available to you. Record your search term and repeat your searches to find updates. Do not restrict yourself to a full text article, as this introduces a bias of your results. It's easier to just click on the left-hand side of PsycInfo and say you only want full text, but what about all of the ones that just are abstracts? You ask, okay, so how do I get those articles? You could ask your library to borrow those articles, or you could go to a larger university and they tend to have those full text articles. When I was doing my dissertation, my school's library is really, really small. So I would drive to a UC every weekend and look up those full text articles. And then try a variety of keywords such as angry driving and road rage. Generate two sets of results that do not completely overlap. So, like I said before, my dissertation was on infidelity. When we say infidelity, sometimes people tend to use the word cheating. However, every time I put in the word cheating, different results would come up than when I would put the word infidelity. Usually when I put the word cheating, it was usually like cheating on an exam. So you have to use different variations of whatever you're trying to investigate. Consider using the words review and meta-analysis, like we talked about, to find article literature reviews. Look for perfect key articles and then use that one to find additional articles. So that's mainly what I did. So as I read an article, and I still do this to this day, especially in the introduction and discussion section, I do this. I color code it. So if I think that article sounds great, let's say, color code it, I highlight it pink. And then if I think I may use it, I'll highlight it blue, and then I go searching for that article. Use the time cited in the database information for PsycInfo related articles information in Google Scholar. And then use the cited references provided by PsycInfo and Google Scholar. That's always a great way to go about finding articles. Use fields as the title and author. Example, typing divorce in the title requires that term to appear in the title. Definitely, I recommend using and, or, and not, and limits the search. So, for example, typing divorce and child requires both terms to be included. Or to expand the search, typing divorce or breakup includes either term. So for my dissertation, I would put infidelity or cheating. Use not to exclude search terms. Example, typing shyness not therapy includes shyness articles that have the term therapy. So going back to my dissertation, I would have to put cheating not test. Using a wild card asterisk. Example, typing child asterisk finds any word that begins with the word child. So childhood, child's, review and use keywords that were selected by article authors. In PsycInfo, these are found in more detailed result output. Ways to explore past research: you can use PsycArticle, PsycBook, Sociological Abstract, PubMed. So these are a list of other search engines that you can use other than PsycInfo and Google Scholar. Internet search engines can reveal a variety of information. To improve internet searches, you should do the following: identify differences in how sites find and store info, use advanced search rules, critically evaluate what you find, note where you selected it, what you searched for, the dates of your search, and the exact locations of the website you use. What I tend to do is I create a folder. I have a Mac computer under bookmarks, and that's where I put all of my articles if I don't want to print them out. And then there's Google Scholar. This specialized search engine works like other Google search, but searches scholarly sources. And that is the end of our chapter 2. Let me know if you have any questions.